Bowl LIX.
Welcome to episode 18 of Health Matters, the Predictors podcast, recorded on January 5th, 2025. I'm your host, Jay Rock, and we got some real outlaws in the booth today, baby. Orthopedic expert and Renaissance man, Dr. Preventure, the Patriots head surgeon bringing NFL-level care to the world on a daily basis, the one and only GOAT, Zajac, and our in-house prediction guru, Nate Dogg. We're not wasting any time, no cuts, no fluff, no filler today, baby. It is here. The moment we've all been waiting for, the most electrifying game of the season. 30 teams gave it their all, but only 2 have survived the war. The Eagles and the Chiefs. On Sunday, February 9th, they go head-to-head in an all-out brawl for the biggest prize in football, the 59th Super Bowl championship and the opportunity to raise the Lombardi Trophy. The Kansas City Chiefs, defying the odds with injuries and setbacks, have proven they're still a force to be reckoned with. But the Philadelphia Eagles, they've battled through the ups and downs as well, and they're hungry for redemption. Jalen Hurts and his squad are ready to show the world they're not just contenders, but they're champions in the making. Will the Eagles take down the back-to-back Super Bowl kings, or will Patrick Mahomes lock in a historic 3rd consecutive championship and cement his place in NFL lore? This is the game we've been waiting all season for. No matter who you're rooting for, there's no question about it. This Super Bowl is going to be a legendary battle. Now let's dive into the injuries and factors that could change the course of this historic showdown. All right, heading straight into the injuries that are going to change this whole thing for everybody. Tyler, let's look at the Eagles' offensive line. What's going on over there, and what should the people be looking at most importantly?
Yeah, J-Rock, this is the biggest storyline when it comes to injury for this Super Bowl. I think we know how important offensive line, defensive line is to teams and to the success of teams. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are very healthy from that standpoint. The Eagles, on the other hand, have a few offensive line injuries that they are, I don't want to say worried about, but that they're going to have to deal with. Left guard Landon Dickerson has a knee injury. Dickerson started at center last game, but went out in the second half of the game. He's played through injury in the past, and it sounds like he is going to be ready for the Super Bowl, which is great news for the Eagles. Cam Jurgens, their center as well, had a back injury. He didn't start last game, but he had to come in and play for Dickerson when he got hurt. So they have a little bit of back and forth with some players filling in, but it looks like for the Super Bowl, both guys will be ready to go. They have Tyler Steen ready to fill in if he needs to. And Cam Jurgens said it best, man. He said, shout out to the trainers and the medical staff. They've been working around the clock, helped him out. He's in a lot better shape than he was last week, ready to go. We always love to see the players shouting out the medical staff for doing what they need to do to get these guys back on the field.
Yeah, let's face it. I mean, Saquon is all about this game. He's been all about the season, legendary season, to use J-Rock's words. But he needs his offensive line. That has been the key for the Eagles this year. As long as we get these guys back, get them back reasonably healthy. And Tyler, what have we got for the bust just on the offensive line for the Eagles? What's our bust score on them? Because that's important. And when these teams get down to the end, it's when you're comparing D-lines, O-lines, secondaries, things like that, that actually matter in terms of how banged up they are.
Yeah, the Eagles O-line is at an 81.5 right now. That could change with those guys coming back and push up a little bit. Right now, the Eagles have the lower O-line bust score and the higher D-line bust score. So we kind of have some back and forth between the two teams. So it looks like it could be really good.
Sounds good. It's going to be an electric match. And then kind of looking at the preparation that it takes to make it not only to the playoffs, but all the way through to the Super Bowl. Tyler, with your experience as being an ATC, What are some specific things that you guys do to make sure the player's okay? And then we're going to move over to Doc and talk about some very specific medical preparations that teams are looking for. How do they stay healthy?
Yeah, J-Rock. Well, you said it, man. It is preparation, preparation, preparation. You have to make sure you have everything ready to go that the players are going to need. This is unlike anything that they normally have to do because you're going so early, right? You have media day, you have practice away from home, right? So they're going usually a week before the game actually happens, which means that the medical staff has to be prepared for anything that could happen throughout that week. That means injuries in practice. That means constant rehabilitation. You need to bring that stuff with you. You have to know what the players want, what staff wants, and you have to pack all that stuff. You have to have it ready to go. You have to have it sent out early. And that's a lot of work, man. It is a lot of work to get that done. In a normal weekend, you have a few things, you know what you need for every game. But this isn't that normal weekend. Like I said, you have a full week of prep and anything can happen. Sure, if you need to run out for a few things, you can in the home city of the Super Bowl, but usually you're trying not to do that. You're trying to bring everything you can. So it's a big undertaking, man. There's a whole hotel setup. You have to have an athletic training room. You have to have a place for them to do strength and conditioning. And then obviously the practice field, and you have to bring stuff back and forth. There's a lot of distractions out there, man. A lot of distractions for the players, a lot of distractions for the staff. And it's up to the coaches and the players themselves to take themselves away from those distractions. Media day, reporters asking questions, fans trying to come up to these guys and get pictures and stuff with them that they're dealing with around dealing with preparation for this game. So it is a huge, huge thing that these guys got to go through to get to that final game.
Gigantic production on the ATC side for sure. Doc, what are some things that you've experienced as well going into games of the caliber?
Yeah, J-Rock, again, this is try to be treated like any other game, from the mental side, the physical preparation side. You've got 2 weeks. It can be a long time. You got a week at home. You're doing your practices. You're kind of locking in the game plan. These teams know each other. They've seen each other before. So on the medical side, it's really trying to treat it like every other game, but it's just a much bigger setup. There's a much bigger spectacle, and we have to manage that and just take care of players at the highest level. One of the biggest things is the host city is phenomenal by and large. They are ready for us. They're ready for the teams. They know how to do this. If we need anything, we need an MRI, for example, x-rays, CT scan, you need lab work, you need even maybe you have a flu or pneumonia. You have to go to the hospital. We have all that set up ahead of time. And the NFL, the visiting team physician lead, all of this is super scripted and dialed in ahead of time. I will tell you, one of the things they're always, making sure we're ready for on the medical staff and the team is this is like every other game, but it's not. It's the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people watching, and I don't know how many cameras are there, guys? 120 now, Sony's. There was a great article about all the Sony technology coming into this, and it used to be about 73, 75. Most football games during the week, during the usual season are 30, 40, maybe 50, but now you're looking at double the amount of cameras, the ability to bring this to the people in their living room at their Super Bowl parties is super high level. And so you're watching everything. And not that you're watching, medical staff, but you're watching sort of everything. You're watching the team, you're watching the game, you're watching to make sure, well, is that a concussion or not? Well, we should evaluate that. It's no different, but there's just more eyes. And so you have to be super tight on that and just make sure you're always doing the right thing for the player's health.
The production is huge because health matters, and getting this game out to the people matters. This may be one of the biggest sporting events watched in history, and that's why we're going to need the best cameras to get the best angles. And why do we need those camera angles going hard? Because we got some big opening betting lines. Tyler, we've had a couple of changes in the lines over the past. How is the spread money line in total looking, and does that reflect the true nature of the game in your opinion?
Yeah, Jarek, I think it does. I think we knew that the Chiefs were going to open up at the favorites and still be the favorites. With those changes to the Eagles offensive line, with the injury information that's come out that you'll have some of these guys back, it has moved a little bit more back to the Eagles having a closer chance, not by much. I think it started with the Chiefs minus 125, Eagles plus 105, and now the Chiefs are minus 120, Eagles plus 100. So it's not huge changes. I mean, the spread is only 1.5, so it's everyone knows it's going to be a close game, right? The total's the big one. It opened at 49.5. Now it's changed to point 48.5, but that's a high scoring game. You know, we got some high powered offenses here. We'll have to see how the defenses respond. A lot of times we found with the bus, when you got two high scoring games, that defensive bus is huge in those games because 1-2 crucial stops means a lot more to those guys. But you know, make sure everyone that's listening, they go to thepredictors.com. We'll have some prop bets on the website closer to game time once those injury reports become official. So if you are a prop bettor, make sure you check predictors.com to get some that our algorithm comes
again, Tyler, to not beat this up, but the bus score, Eagles offensive line right now, it's probably going to change, but around 80, defensive line for the Chiefs, 90. Right. So again, a little bit better on the defensive side for the Chiefs right now, which that's what wins Super Bowls. We've shown that again and again.
That's what we're looking for. A couple of big game time factors. It's easy to think of Mahomes. It's easy to think about Saquon. Nate, can you give us a couple of game time X factors that are going to be outside of the zeitgeist that the people still need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, J-Rock, I think Xavier Worthy is certainly one of these guys. And if you remember earlier this season, Rashee Rice tore his LCL, which required surgery on that. So Xavier Worthy's kind of been having to compensate for him this whole season. And he's one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. He, ran a 4.21 in last year's combine. And he's going to be really important for opening the field up, getting Justin Watson and DeAndre Hopkins more involved. And then on the other side, on the Eagles side, we talked about how important the D-line is, or the O-line is for Saquon, but wide receiver play is going to be just as important. You got Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. They're going to need to open up those running lanes for Saquon to get going. And so I think those are a couple of my most important X factors.
Good to know. A couple of big X factors. You can't just look at the stars that everyone is looking at, especially the media. You got to look at the entire team. Tyler, do you have anything to add as far as the Eagles maybe having to minimize some mistakes, turnovers, things like that? What should be analyzed as far as a couple of different things about the game here?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, J-Rock. The Chiefs finished fourth in scoring defense this season, which means that, they're coming through sometimes when their offense is even struggling. It's weird to say that Patrick Mahomes could struggle, but when he does, their defense usually comes through for them, man. Chris Jones is, I don't even know if you could say arguably, he's the best defensive tackle in the league right now. And if him and his company can hold Saquon, the Eagles are going to have to minimize fumbles, minimize interceptions, and it's going to come down to exactly what Doc was talking about earlier, that offensive line. They're going to need good pass protection. They're going to need to open up holes for Saquon. And if those key players can minimize those, turnovers, then they have a shot. If they can't, then the Chiefs are going to be all over them, and it's going to be a different game.
That's what it is. You got to minimize the mistakes and optimize your wins. Before we head out, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors at Outlaw Beers for keeping us hydrated in the mountains day in and day out. Jim Wallace, always a pleasure to be with. And for everyone out there, grab some Outlaws for your Super Bowl party this season. Thanks for sticking around with us on the Health Matters Predictors podcast. It's been an absolutely insane season, and the finale is upon us. One team will power through to a championship, and another will be sent home without a runner-up trophy. Make sure to join us next week for even more expert insights, bold predictions, and all-around elite vibes. Until then, stay locked in, and we hope every parlay you make hits. And if you want them to hit a little bit harder, check out our prop bets when they drop on our website. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @thepredictors_ and check out our website for those prop bets, thepredictors.com, for everything NFL and a couple of bets that could put some money in your pockets. Super Bowl 59, baby. Let's see what's going to be crowned and who's going to be crowned king of the 2024-2025 NFL season. Until then, we'll have our champion next time.